All right. Business owners are spending time making their businesses pop, but a third of them have no retirement plan set up. Half of them don't have confidence in their retirement savings, and 80% of them won't be able to sell their businesses when it's time to exit. Today, we're going to chop about how to be successful with retirement plans. Let's go. Yeah, y'all know what time it is when that music drops and the head is bobbing. You know, these businesses out here, we're trying to make it happen, and business owners are trying to make their businesses thrive. And at the same time, they need to keep their retirement planning aspects alive. So we're going to chop it up today about how to use their businesses, or how to use your business to make your retirement plans prosper, and what type of retirement plans are out there to help you prosper. My name is Dr. Preston Cherry. I'm the founder and CEO of Concurrent Financial. And today we have my special guest today, one of my good friends, the retirement plan extraordinaire. Been doing it for a couple decades. My man,
Ooh,
Ricky Taylor.
Dr. Cherry, when you say a couple of decades, come on, man. That makes me feel some kind of way.
Oh well, man. So, but you're keeping it nice, man. You know, we was in the green room just a minute ago. I'm about to tell on us, man. We trying to get dappered up. It takes a little bit of while to to get dappered up. And I know I had to throw on my blazer today because I know the dapper Mr. Ricky Taylor's coming on.
All right, man. Listen, we gonna stop playing. I'm taking all my cues from you. So it is. Listen, it is great to be here, and I appreciate the invite. And I'm excited about this. Especially to be talking with you, a long time dear friend, and I'm proud of your success. I'm proud of all the things that you're doing, getting on the circuits and things of that nature. So I'm just happy to be here.
Man, yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. We just gonna chop it up. This is how we do on the show, which is converse, and business owners are passionate of mine as professionals. Working in the corporate world to Concurrent and the podcast. We don't care how you make your income, but this show is dedicated to the business owners. And like I kicked off with the show, Rick, and you do this every day. You've been doing it a long time. Business owners out here trying to make their businesses thrive or even grow even more.
Yeah.
And they're not spending enough time thinking about their retirement aspects. I mean, like folks can be house poor out here, so they got a lot of time, a lot of funds, locked up into their homes. But a lot of folks can be business poor too, even though that they're thriving.
Yes.
And not saving up for their retirement plans. So let's kick off the show about the state of affairs of business owners, and what the mindset is about how they feel about retirement. What do you think, how they living out there as far as their prospects?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great place to start. When you think about where we are in our country with business owners, there's a lot going on. All right. I mean, I think right now the buzzword is the Secure Act, Secure 1.0, Secure 2.0, and all of the details that encompass all of the legislative changes, right? And I know we're not going to dive deep into the changes, but the state of affairs is business owners need to pay more attention, right? If we're looking at this from a business owner perspective and they're saying, all right, why do I want to talk about a retirement plan? What is a retirement plan going to do for me, for my business? Well, I would say the first thing is to attract and retain quality employees, right? Because as an employee is thinking about different opportunities that they want to take, the first question they're going to talk about is the healthcare. The second is going to be the retirement plan. What type of retirement plan do you have set up that's going to help me save for my overall retirement down the line, right? So that's not the first thing, but it's up there when you talk about the state of affairs. I think the second thing is going to be, as a business owner, again, what can this plan do for me? Well, the plan can save you a tremendous contribution that's going to go towards your overall retirement planning goal, right? Because again, when you look at the financial plan of a person, of a business, you're encompassing quite a few things, from risk management, investment management, retirement planning, tax planning. The retirement planning portion piece helps with that overall retirement planning. And then, of course, I would even say the tax savings, right? Lots of business owners neglect to realize that having a qualified plan is a great vehicle for tax deduction and or tax credits, right? And I know we might dive into that a little bit deeper later on, but I think that's the key piece that's missing, because a lot of times they're saying, well, I mean, I don't want to throw this money in there because I want the money to work for me. Well,
Right.
okay, it's either you give the money to the government by way of taxes, or you set aside this money in the qualified retirement plan, again, for yourself as the owner, as well as your employees. So I think all of that, Dr. Cherry, can I wait a minute? Am I calling you Dr. Cherry now?
Man, thanks for asking, man. I appreciate you, man. But no, man, we can chop it up, man. We can call me
I
Preston
mean,
on the show.
we
Yeah,
homies,
I
right?
know. I know.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
So all of that encompasses, again, the state of affairs when you think about business owners today.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man, you hit one on the head a couple of those. Uh, Now, if you're gonna make your business, pop or thrive, you have to have talent. And there folks are going to think about their futures, and having a retirement plan in place, if they're not getting it from you, they're gonna get it from somewhere else. No, I mean,
Absolutely.
full stop, right? So you hit that right on the head. Here's my main thing, and which you hit too. Look, hating the government is not a retirement plan. All right. So if you don't like the government, cool. Then don't give them a whole bunch of money. Why don't you have the money in working for you inside of your plan and for the people that are working for you, right? And reduce those taxes. I mean,
Yeah.
all day long. So you're gonna give up. You're gonna. What my dad used to, his one of his favorite words is unasked, Rick. He said you're gonna unask that money either way. It's either gonna go to the government, or you can put it into your account, your retirement plan accounts, so it can compound, and then also get a tax deduction. Let's talk about that. I mean, for your contributions.
Yes, indeed. I mean, so actually, let me back up just a touch. I want to stay on the government, right?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Because we know Uncle Sam's going to get his or hers, whichever one you
Yep.
prefer, one way or the other. So even with the most recent changes in the legislature, they're mandatorily stating states need to offer a retirement plan for the businesses. It's a state mandatory retirement system. I want to say right now there are 18 states who have a mandatory retirement plan, which states if you have X number of employees, but you don't have a retirement plan, you're going to be forced to adopt the state's plan. Okay.
Mm.
Now, why that's important is because one, there are only a couple of states that actually have true 401k plans, whereby you have the employee deferral, you have the employer contribution, you have the maximum contribution capability. But with the employer contribution, you also have the ability now for the tax deduction. Okay, so that works well, but it's those other ones that have what I'm calling a glorified IRA, right? You can only defer into it up to the IRA limit, no employer contributions. So it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. If I'm the business owner, Rick, you talked about how can this plan work for me, right? Well, that plan's not working for the business owner. That plan is simply stating, hey, as a business owner, I offered something to my employees. It's a deferral situation with where it goes to the IRA limit. But again, no employer contribution, no tax deductibility, no tax credit, right? So I want people to understand, depending on what state you live in, if you have, and again, there's too many different variations of how many employees you have. Like New Jersey, it's if you have 25 or more. I think California is if you have 5 or more, something along those lines. But pay attention to what state you're in, and if your state actually has a mandatory retirement plan that you would have to adopt if you do not have a plan in place already. Okay. So
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure we went back there, right? So I could clarify a little bit more of how gangster the government is.
Right. They need their own movie. They need to get with, you know, those who's making all of the direct Martin Scorsese, you know, make a gangster movie. You know, the government, right? Right. And so you
Yeah.
make some good points. So that you make some good points to pivot on, which is some common mistakes to avoid and what you see, right? First of all, not taking advantage. You mentioned the Secure Act 2.0. So let's start off with folks that don't have a retirement plan, because there's a third of businesses owners that don't have a retirement plan at all, and because they're
Mhm.
reinvesting into their business over and over and building up those revenues, and that's cool. Reinvesting in your business and trying to grow your practice or your firm, great. That said, you know, you have an exit plan problem later on. So let's start there about taking advantage of the Secure Act 2.0 and getting these tax credits. What's that all about?
Yeah. So I think, and that's a great place to pivot when you think about the tax credit. So a lot of times, companies or business owners, they're fearful of what it's going to cost them out of pocket, right? Even though the cost is, or the savings and the contributions and the tax benefits completely outweigh the cost for starting up a plan, right? So the government actually made it a little bit easier by stating, if you're starting up a plan, there are going to be tax credits allowed for starting up that plan to help ease the cost of starting it up, right? So if you're starting up a plan, you can take either $500 in tax credits for 3 years, or you could take $250 per non-highly compensated employee in tax credits, right? So it's kind of like, depending on how many employees you have, which one makes most sense. And these credits go for 3 years, right? So I don't think business owners should necessarily be worrying about how much it costs to start the plan. Because again, when you're looking at how much you're capable of saving as a business owner, what you're doing for your employees to help them save for their retirement, it's coming back multiple times over, right? So again, we love the Secure Act and the tax credits for helping businesses be able to start up their plans, but also there are tax credits for the employer contributions, right? So think about this, right? If you have 10 employees and let's say you gave $1,000 in profit sharing contribution to each 10 employee, well, for the first 2 years, you're taking 100% tax credit on that $1,000, right? And then years 3, 4, and 5, it trickles down a little bit more until it's all gone. So for 5 years, you're getting a great tax credit on the employer contributions that you're giving to your employees. So that in and of itself is a tremendous benefit, right? That Secure 2.0 has allowed us to utilize, if you will.
Yeah, and the government ain't all gangster, right?
Right.
Because because you know when the government is making rules, particularly the IRS. Let's talk about this. Let's keep it all the way real. The
Yeah.
IRS is going to collect that money, right? But at the same time, I always say to folks is that the IRS code is full of suggestions and behavior nudges and all that. Because the reason why they're giving us these credits, Ricky, is because they'd rather businesses and individuals take care of their own retirement
Mhm.
instead of having it fall on the government. It's cheaper that way. You know, you might as well give
Absolutely.
some credits for to encourage people to take care of, you know, the retirement plans at the business level. So why not take advantage of them? I mean,
Right.
they're simply nudging you in the right direction to do that. You know, so yeah, I love the math on there. That math is mathing all day. That math is mathing all day. Is to take it, and it's a credit too, so it's dollar for dollar.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Credits are different from deductions, right? You know, you're getting a dollar for dollar. That's all day long, right? And another thing, as far as common mistakes, let's pivot into the types of plans. You touched on it a little earlier, which is, you know, there's SEP IRAs, there's simple
Mhm.
IRAs, there's solo 401ks, there's 401ks, there's safe harbor, right? Let's touch on it. we're gonna touch on which plans are good for which later on in the show, but touch on like not knowing, which one is best for you right out the gate. How does
Yeah.
that like really contribute to some missteps?
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, right? Because when you're thinking about the business owner and what they do for their business, right? I mean, if you're a business owner making widgets, I'm not going to say you're not financially savvy, because you are, but you're not involved in the retirement plan business and understanding which option makes most sense. So I always implore business owners to have a conversation with, their certified financial planner, people like yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, the advisor is going to help understand where the client should be, right? So let's use some examples, because examples always work best. If you're a brand new business owner, like you said earlier, they're continuously investing money into the business and they are not using a lot of money for their retirement, right? So, okay, maybe you're not thinking about a 401k because there are fees associated with the 401k for administration. There are filings that need to be taken care of. If you don't do those filings, you're in trouble. So maybe a SEP IRA, which is 100% employer funded, you can contribute up to 25% of income, right? So, I mean, again, if you're making $100,000, yeah, you can put up to 25,000, but it doesn't require you to put in 25,000. Maybe you put in 5,000, maybe you put in 10,000. The point is, there's an opportunity for you to save something towards retirement without necessarily breaking the bank, right? Or maybe you have a few employees. Maybe, again, you're starting out, you have 5 employees. A simple IRA could be a good place to start, especially if you're not considering that you as the business owner can contribute the maximum deferral amount, right? So if you think about a 401k, it's 23,000. If you're nowhere near 23,000, but yeah, you can do 10,000, maybe a simple IRA is a good opportunity, because now you're giving the employees the deferral opportunity if they want to take advantage of it, as well as contributing something from the employer side, right? So to sum this whole thing up, it's having a conversation with somebody like yourself, somebody like me, to look at the big picture of where you are in your business, what you can afford to contribute, what you want to do for your employees, if you even have employees, right? So I would say, again, just looking at that big picture and exhausting all possibilities first. One of the things that I do, I consult on all plans, even though my firm doesn't sell them, right? We are primarily 401k, 403b, 457 cash balance plans. But when I come up against a new prospect or someone who wants to have a conversation, I'm getting all the details. And if a SEP IRA or a simple IRA makes most sense, yeah, I'm absolutely going to push them that way, instead of trying to put them in a 401k just for the sake of doing a 401k.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Because you got to do what's best for the client at all times. And what
Right.
I heard too, yeah, of course, and I know you live that way all day long. And what I heard too is beginning and starting, and also too not having any type of judgment of where a company is. Just because you start somewhere doesn't mean that you have to end that way either. I mean, because for
Mm.
example, some folks say, well, because there are compensation limits on a SEP, don't start one. Well, that's not necessarily true. That may not fit your company at that time. It may be a better fit than a solo K. And then also too, you can roll
Right.
up. You can roll up, the IRAs into the solo Ks once you start them. I mean, so that is an option as well. So a big common mistake is not starting, uh, and maybe taking a bigger leap than you should, or not taking that big leap as you should, into starting that big plan. Let's get into uh, oh, one more mistake, Rick, before we get into the different types of plans, because you were touching on them already. What what about the contribution deadlines and starting up the plans? Because the deadlines for plans, not starting them and adhering to them, and then also the contribution deadlines, they're coming up, and there's a couple of nuances between S corps and LLCs and solo practitioners. What let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the cool things that Secure 2.0 did was state, even if you wanted to start a plan after the year has completed, you can still do that as long as you've done it. You've set the plan up prior to your corporate tax filing deadline. So you certainly want to pay attention to December 31st. You want to pay attention to March 15th, right? Because those are the big dates that we really pay attention to when contributions are coming in. I would even say July 31st and October 15th for when you actually do have those plans. Those are the filing deadlines for the tax return for the retirement plan. I think, again, everything stems around consultation, right? As a TPA, when we're having these consultative conversations with the client, we're explaining everything that takes place throughout the year and what the important dates are, right? For getting contributions in, getting eligibility situated, getting documents and notices sent out to participants, because again, this is all legally binding, right? So again, just having the conversation and alerting and educating when contributions need to be submitted. And not only that, we have to talk about what the penalties are, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a qualified plan. It's a tax qualified plan. And if you don't get your monies in a timely fashion, then it's a moot point. You're not going to be able to take advantage of the tax benefits because the money's not there, right? And again, everything stems around the corporate tax filing deadline. So make sure, again, with consultation, you're having conversation around when is the corporate tax filing deadline? When do I need to get these contributions in to be able to take advantage of the tax qualifiedness of the plan?
Exactly. And now that at the time of this recording, it's April, or we're live right now, but it is April, and so knowing that you can make contributions up until March 15th for S corps, and then April 15th for the solo case is important. So very, very, very much important. Let's pivot to the type of plans, and you were touching on it already. SEPs, SEPs, simples, and what these things mean. We got the acronyms. Everything. Everybody talks in code. My mother hates it, by the way. She's like, y'all need to be talking in real sentences. Don't be talking about for real, or FR, right? Say it out loud. So what does SEP mean? What does simple IRA mean? Solo K, what do these things mean? And simplified, employee pension is the SEP, and then savings incentive matching plan is the simple. And the solo K, also knowing that your spouse can use the solo K as well, so that's double benefit. And some of these limits, and one of your specialties is taking a step further is the safe harbor and the traditional 401k. When you have multiple employees, when you're talking about retaining talent and all that, let's talk about each one of those with the time that we have.
Yeah. So, wow. Let's see. Where do we start? Well, let's start with the SEP.
Let's start with the SEPs.
Okay,
let's start with the SEPs. Let's start with the SEPs.
Yeah, we'll start with the SEP. And again, this is a 100% employer funded plan. Okay. And I think the key thing to know about this is, again, maximum contribution is up to 25% of eligible compensation. But what you do for yourself as the business owner, you also have to do for your employees, right? So if you've got, let's say, 10 employees, and you say, well, I want to give myself 20% in contribution. Well, you got to give 20% to each eligible employee. And if all 10 are eligible, that's 20% to each, right? And I would even say most employers are not comfortable with that, right? So doing a consultative approach, again, looking at the big picture, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, how much do you think you can afford to put away into this retirement account? And then we divvy it up as such. So that's going to be your SEP. Again, 100% employer contribution funded. Then when you look at the simple IRA, The simple IRA is for your small business owners who want to be able to have the ability for employees to defer and possibly get a small match or get a non-elective contribution in a small amount, right? So remember I mentioned earlier, if a business owner is not capable of maxing out to the fullest in the 401k, again, that magic number is 23,000, but they can do something a lot less, but still want the added benefit of having the employees have skin in the game by deferring or having the ability to defer some of their own money, then the simple IRA is going to be where you want to go, right? Again, there's no administrative cost. There's no administrative filing. Okay. And you have the ability to save, a decent amount of money. I mean, I think the maximum is like 16.5 right now, which is, that's pretty decent. Plus you're getting a potential 3% match or a 2% non-elective contribution. Once you go over 100 employees, you can no longer do the simple IRA. All right. Now you are forced to go into the 401k. What I typically explain to folks is allow the simple IRA to help build up some assets, right? Whereby when you're able to afford to do more, let's talk about graduating to the 401k, right? So again, if the business owner is now ready to start deferring as much as 23,000, we have to look at a 401k because that's the only thing that's going to allow you to do that. But in addition to that, as you mentioned earlier, you have the safe harbor, you have the new comparability, profit sharing, and things like that. So again, the SEP, the simple, you mentioned the solo K plan. I like solo K plans for independent business owners. If you are a solo practitioner and you're looking to sock away some monies, if you are married, your spouse can even participate. That, as you mentioned, I think you said double up the money, right? And again, we're looking at up to about $66,000 per person. Okay. Per person. If the money's right.
Yeah. If the money's right.
As long as the money's right, we can get that done. And I think there are certain great benefits to all of these plans. The common factor is you're saving for retirement and you're capable of taking either the tax credit or the tax deduction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love all those numbers right there. And what fits with the client, and what we do with our clients is we do that audit. We partner with firms like yourself, and we run through asking these questions about what's the best fit. And we tend to hear often, well, this is where I am, and I was like, okay, great, and this is where I want to go, and that's great as well. And we pick something off the shelf that fits them. And for those folks that really love, the tax benefit and the compounding benefit of saving for retirement because they want more confidence and clarity, they love the bigger plans. They love the bigger plans because they like socking away those higher amounts. And for those that are starting out, they say, I want to begin and start that process. That's why SEPs and simples are most beneficial. One of the things I see too is and I want to make clear is that you can participate in controlling your own tax dollars, because a lot of people ask me about the backdoor Roths and getting your money and controlling your tax situation. And they say, well, I want to not do the SEP IRAs or the simple IRAs because I want to do these conversions and avoid the pro rata rule. And well, you can do that because you can just roll those SEPs into the 401ks when you establish them, or you already have them, because the tax characteristics is the same, those tax deferral dollars. Put that back into the 401k and don't let that stop you either. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. I think you're certainly hitting it on the head, because there are different components that will allow you to do different things with the same money. Okay. So if you're thinking about, as you mentioned, the backdoor Roth, right? It's an opportunity whereby you're taking your pre-tax dollars, you'll pay the taxes on it before you convert it over into the Roth. And now, as long as you hit the benefits of the Roth, meaning the account's been open for at least 5 years and you're at least 59 and a half years old, anything you take out was 100% tax-free. Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, no question. What is something we coming up on the closing time? Man, we could talk about this all day. And plus, on top of that, we have a business seminar coming up together in April. So we're gonna, for all those tuning in, me and Rick are gonna get back together and we're going to extend this longer. But this has been a great show. What are some of the things? I mean, right off the top, we got about a minute or so that we may not have covered, but you want to say, I've been doing this a while. This is what I want people to be encouraged to do with their retirement aspirations when they're talking about their business plans or the retirement plans.
If you think you can't afford it, you can. Find the dollars to put away. Even if if you're a business owner, right? Even if it's a few $1,000s a year, it's going to add up. If you're a participant, an employee, $25, $50, if you're saying I can't afford it, allow us to help you figure out where those dollars are so you can get the biggest bang for the buck. The biggest thing I see is people leaving free money on the table because they think they can't afford to participate. Free money is if the company is giving you a match. In order to get the match, you need to defer something into the account. So at least put in the minimum to get the maximum match amount. You know what I mean? And you're right. There's a lot that we can discuss. I actually have a whole lot listed that I wanted to talk about, but I know we're running out of time. So we'll have to hold on to the next one and just go through all the details.
Man, that's good stuff, man. Rick, I appreciate you being here, man. We're going to double back and do our presentation here in about a month. Man, I really appreciate you and your expertise. Man, appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your audience. And I just thank you, Preston. You are my guy for real.
All right, that's what's up. Business owners, if you're out there, take heed to what we're talking about. You can take advantage of your retirement plans right now to help you prosper. Get that tax deduction, tax credits, and let your revenues prosper for you and compound over time. If you like, seen, and feel what you heard, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.